March 12th, 1969. The fire. We've been receiving 2 or 3 rockets a day for over a week. Someone was always stationed at the mess hall to remind us, stay 5 meters apart, one rocket would kill all of you. One rocket hit a fuel truck and totally destroyed it. Another rocket set a Jeep on fire and it burned. We did have some shrapnel injuries, but I do not remember anyone being seriously injured. Most of the rockets missed the fire base completely. It was becoming routine. We would try to determine which direction the rockets came from. We would check with our SERP team. If they heard the launch, we would try to triangulate to determine the location of the launch site. We would jump on our tracks, drive to where we thought they had been launched from, only to find nothing. My track and squad had moved out of the fire base and down to the south end of the front runway. The rockets and attacks had both came from the north, so south end of the runway was a good place to be. We'd been resupplied and I had just received a new troop, 8 cases of beer and soda, and a brand new air mattress. It had been a good day. I purposely put the new soldier on guard first. That way I could set up with him and give him a orientation of our squad. I gave myself a later shift in the night. The second shift was pulled by our machine gunner. I was still pondering if I'd ever slept on a bed that was as comfortable as my new air mattress. The machine gunner yelled, "Trip flare!" and started firing the belt of ammo that was in the .50 caliber. Then he said, "I see the SOB!" and he jumped from the track and went to his own machine gun and started firing. I grabbed my rifle and ran to the edge of the runway to look. The trip flare was burning, but I saw no one. Suddenly, the whole sky lit up like daylight as the artillery unit supported us with parachute flares. I saw one of my men nicknamed Snake from our track jump on the track to get more ammo for the .50 caliber. I fired at the area around the trip flare and I looked up and saw Snake pouring water into the track. And then I saw flames leaping out of our track. A tank from the fire base drove out onto the runway to support us. He pulled in between me and my burning track. It must have been instantaneous, but I didn't remember a thing. The first thing I noticed was I was on the ground with a mouthful of dirt. As I tried to spit out the dirt, I began to take inventory, and thankfully finding that arms, legs, and feet all appeared to be where they belonged. I looked up and could smell the powder from the tank's cannon. I must have been knocked out by the concussion of the tank firing its cannon. We were escorted back into the LZ Bass as the tank continued to protect the runway. I watched from the fire base as the ammo and explosive inside the track continued to burn and explode. The next morning I returned to my still smoldering track. Thankfully, no one was injured. The heat from the burning track had burned everything near it. I went to where I was sleeping and my air mattress had melted away. My sleeping bag had burned. The only thing left was my shirt, was a burnt camera that had been in the pocket, and those thick buttons. The cardboard had burned away from all the beer and soda, and some of the cans had even exploded from the heat. Some of the sodas were still drinkable if you didn't mind filtering out the melted can lining with your teeth.